Hey guys, it's Chris Work here at ProfitDig, and I'm with my partners Jeff Spencer at ProfitDig.
Hello, Chris. How you doing?
Good, Jeff. How you doing?
Doing well.
Hey, you threw a great party last weekend.
Well, thank you.
Jeff's daughter was married last weekend. It was pretty awesome.
Great time.
One heck of a reception.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now that we're back at it,
Yeah.
one of our subscribers reached out to us recently. Was just talking about wanting some feedback for how to charge for hourly work, like between larger projects. You know, obviously he's a small business, but he has a crew that gets paid every week, and so
Right.
he's always trying to keep everyone busy.
Right.
And so his question is one that we receive a lot, is how do I make sure I remain profitable and can still fit in some of these hourly jobs?
Well, the main thing is, in my opinion, if I'm going into a project, it's going to be a cost plus project, which that's what hourly work is. You have to know what your hourly cost is, and are you taking just strictly men to this project? If that's all you're going to have is say a lot of hand work or whatever, you got to know what each man costs you. You got to figure in, you got to have your overhead, your labor burden, all that stuff needs to be figured into your hourly cost. And then, if your guys work, say, 8 hours that day, then each man's at a different rate. But you've got to multiply that by the hours he works.
Right.
And you got to make sure you're covered. Well, like I said, you got to add your overhead into that. You've got your labor burden into that. Labor burden being, your workman's comp, any fringe benefits that you give that labor, or operator, foreman, whatever it may be. And then you want to make a profit on it. Mm-hmm. And so at that point, you have to put your profit. Maybe your company is structured on a 10% or 15% profit margin. That's what you have to put on top of that, and that's where you make your money at. You may have equipment. If you have equipment on that project, if you have to mobilize, whether you hire someone to haul your equipment or you haul it yourself, it still costs you money. Same thing applies. You got to figure in your fuel for your trucks, what your trucks cost you per hour, what your trailer's worth per hour. Do you have any labor time involved, helping your truck driver get in off the street and stuff, and helping them unload and load, vice versa. And then that equipment, if it's on a job, regardless if it's sitting still or being used, if it's on that job, it still costs you money because it could be on another project making you money. So, if you've got a piece of equipment and you move it on a job and you only use it 2 hours, you're not doing yourself justice if that's all you charge. Because that equipment was there for 8 hours the whole time you were there, so you need to allow and account for that equipment for that day, because it could very well be on another project working, where you got a hard bid and it would be making you money.
Absolutely. Well, that's good to know. So if I'm hearing you correctly, I've been working in larger projects, I've been estimating work, so I should have an idea of what these numbers are to calculate my hourly cost.
Yes.
And if I'm using an application such as ProfitDig, then I have a pretty good idea of what that number is.
Right.
Yeah.
And you may have materials on this project.
Sure.
I've been in situations where the owner or the person I'm working for, they may want to supply the materials. Well, that's fine. I'll keep track of my labor costs, my fuel costs, my equipment costs, so on and so forth, stuff we just talked about. And then I'll put a markup on the end of it. And then if you're buying the materials, same thing applies. I mean, those materials cost you something. It's a burden on you to pick those materials up, get them to the job site. So you want to mark those up as well, after taxes, and you want to make a profit and overhead off of them as well.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Jeff, good stuff as always. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris. Good talking to you.